society's demographics that being white has societal privileges that being black does not. But
We can talk. Your view is less valuable because you have not experienced what I've experienced, and that is an identity argument. That's a character argument. That's not a rational political argument that can actually be taken on in any way. It's more of a cudgel and a club than it is an attempt to open a discussion.
Well, I think it's
Ben Shapiro just dropped pure truth in front of Congress, and the left didn't know how to handle it. The Congresswoman tried pushing the same tired white privilege narrative, hoping to corner him, but Ben flipped it with logic and facts.
Mr. Shapiro, you talked about white privilege, and just this week, I had a conversation with Rachel Lazar, who's done some work, a Jewish American woman who's done some work on this area, as well as having extensive conversations with Dr. Greg Parks of Wake Forest University, who's also talked quite a bit about critical race theory. And it's my understanding that white privilege is not telling individuals that they cannot speak, but it is a term for societal privilege that individuals have as a benefit of their white skin. And I don't think that, and I think universities would be remiss to then say that because you're white, you're not allowed to say anything that's critical of white people. I didn't know that white privilege actually went into that sphere. My understanding is it's just, and the issue is that white privilege makes people uncomfortable to talk about the societal privilege that they have.
Well, to me, what I say on campuses all the time is if you want to cite instances of racism that we can all find and fight together, that's something that I'm more than willing to stand next to you and fight, because that's obviously stuff that we should fight together. But when you just say that there is a white privilege out there in the ether and that by dint of birth your skin color generates for you an advantage, what you're really saying to people is that your view is less valuable because you have not experienced what I've experienced. And that is an identity argument, that's a character argument, that's not a rational political argument that can actually be taken on in any way. It's more of a cudgel and a club than it is an attempt to open a discussion.
Well, I think it's a demonstrable evidence that through society's demographics that being white has societal privileges that being black does not. But
we can talk about how that manifests, because that's
I'm also interested in what you just said now, is that you would stand next to anyone who has this. So, Mr. Shapiro, my question to you is, for Ms. Dunston, the tying the noose around the campus and writing messages that target African-American young students, would you consider that hate speech, and then would you stand next to her and fight for her?
As I say, I would. This is the first I'm hearing about it, honestly. But
really,
yeah. But from hearing about it, maybe because it's local. I mean, I'm from LA. But in any case, I'm more than happy to stand alongside her and fight whatever group was responsible for this. Not only more than happy. I mean, you're talking about the alt-right. Again, I was the #1 target of anti-Semitic harassment from the alt-right last year.
Thank you.
I'm more than happy to do all that. And I think there's one more distinction that has to be made. When we talk about cases like Taylor's, they're horrific, and the administration is siding with Taylor. Okay, the administration is doing the right thing by Taylor, or trying to do the right thing by Taylor, as they should be. And I think that we need to make a distinction between cases where the administration is actively participating in the suppression of speech and cases in which the administration is trying to do the right thing in order to punish people for application of crime.
He said it clearly. Acknowledging privilege doesn't mean silencing people based on their skin color. And you know what? As a proud American patriot, I stand with that 100%. This country was built on freedom. Freedom to think, speak, and question. Yet nowadays, if you're white and dare to share an opinion, you're told to check your privilege. That's not equality. That's discrimination in disguise. Ben wasn't denying racism exists. He simply reminded everyone that silencing people because of their race isn't progress. It's regression. He made it clear he'll stand against real hate and discrimination, but he won't bow down to the toxic culture that says only certain voices are allowed to speak. Universities, politicians, and media elites need to hear this. Free speech is not hate speech just because it makes you uncomfortable. Protecting feelings is not the same as protecting freedom. Once you start deciding who can and can't speak, freedom dies. I'm tired of watching America divide itself through identity politics. We don't need guilt or shame. We need unity, respect, and truth. We need to go back to judging people by character, not color. Ben Shapiro spoke for millions of us who are tired of being labeled, silenced, or told we're the enemy. It's time we take our voice back, defend our Constitution, and remember, this nation stands for liberty and justice for all. Drop a comment if you stand for free speech and real equality, like if you're done with the double standards. And don't forget, God bless Ben Shapiro, and God bless the United States of America.